umbraCoffee episode 277.
Yes.
Time flies.
Yes.
How
And
are
we're
you,
back
Callum?
together for the first time in a few weeks.
Yeah. It's a summertime as well for the umbraCoffee host, right? So it's a plenty of things, plenty of responsibilities as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
How's
How are you
your
doing,
week,
Callum?
Marcin?
Oh, mine was exciting. As I said before going live, I have a 2 years old who broke her collarbone. International Children's Day, some ambitious plans, putting a trampoline together, a lot of projects, responsibilities, lecture on the university today at 8 a.m. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. And I didn't realize that it's Friday, but I need to rest. So that's my week. What about you?
Yeah, it's the same. I've noticed every day this week it's been getting harder and harder to wake up in the morning just because of each day is longer and more draining than the last. And playing a lot of catch up, trying to get on top of things from the past few weeks. And also with Code Garden coming up, it's going to be a little bit of a crazy time.
It will be. Yeah, about waking up. Exactly. That's what broke my routines this week because my daughter used to love to sleep on her belly, and now she cannot do that. So all of the nights were disrupted. So yeah, sleep is definitely something what I need. And yesterday was the first night when she was sleeping well. So fingers crossed for the weekend. Fingers crossed. But this will be one of these weekends where I will do nothing probably, and I'll be proud of it.
I need a few of those in the run up to Code Garden, so it nice and energized, and then probably a couple after. But unfortunately, I don't think my schedule is going to allow for that. So yeah, let's see. Anyway, yeah,
that's life. Yeah,
life
exactly.
Hey everyone in the chat, Corne, Laura, Owen, nice to see you.
Hello.
Thanks for being here with us. Let us know how your weeks were as well.
Exactly. And let's jump to Umbraco news because it was an interesting week in Umbraco sphere, and we can start from something what was announced a while ago. Kim and the rest of Umbraco team were talking about it for a little bit, but now it materialized. It's the annual impact report by Umbraco, and it's an impact report from 2022. And I think we will still get Kim and someone else from Umbraco HQ to maybe dive deeper into the content of it, because I don't know if any of you guys who are watching today, but I dived into and then scanned through the content of the report, and I think it's really interesting to see the numbers and data basically about some areas that affects us. For example, community, number of releases, activity around the globe. And what is the most important, of course, for this particular topic is the impact and the CO2 consumption and reduction that Umbraco made and know of, and of course action on recently. So I probably will find it somewhere. Yeah, it was here, like the carbon footprint of Umbraco gathered all together, and some charts on how it got avoided in the recent times by some of the activities and actions. And of course, for even those people who are not that much into data and charts, it looks like the bar raised a lot, right? That's the most important thing.
Something happened in it.
Something happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we will be also what I was talking about with on the previous umbraCoffees. We will talk here and watch a lot about sustainability, about the green projects on Code Garden and around Code Garden. So it's plenty of things to explore, and I'm sure that Umbraco will be also educating us about what they've done, how they are doing it, how they will be improving it over time. But it seems like it has an impact, and some of these actions, which were implemented relatively not that far away in time.
Yeah,
Umbraco
themselves, or at least the HQ, are aiming to be carbon neutral by
exactly.
I don't know when it was, but very soon, quite rapidly, which is awesome. And I'm glad to see them making some progress there. I know when we had Kim on fairly recently, and he alluded to this happening, I said, I'm really interested to see how you can prove every single one of these things you're claiming. Like, how can you absolutely categorically measure your carbon output, or how can you measure the carbon emissions generated by a website, for example? And Kim did say that they would. It's something that they would be particularly focused on, and making sure everything they're doing is verifiable. So I'm interested to hear from him at some point, maybe on some of these points. And
and we should a lot of analyzing the impact of the solutions, infrastructure, website. I won't be surprised if there will be some kind of, and also Frederick mentioned that there will be a regulated kind of policies around the carbon consumption on the digital landscape. So I'm sure that there will be plenty of things and tools for us as developers, agencies, to really address that and align with that, because some people are already doing it, so we might be in a need, or we want to be in the need of doing this more often, right? So that's really cool.
Indeed. I believe Emma said this is the first report of its kind, as far as they know. Like they're the only CMS vendor that's putting out all of this information about sustainability. So that's awesome. Hopefully it can continue. And there is a webinar coming up as well, isn't there? Sometime in a couple of weeks after CodeGuard.
Yes. One thing that I also wanted to highlight here is like the impact on people and the activities that Umbraco is doing around the Umbraco itself, because not for everyone is obvious and clear that Umbraco is doing a lot of activities and supports a lot of activities. So it's also mentioned here in this report, and I think it's really interesting. I remember that I found it really cool. For example, coding classes or Hack Your Future initiatives that we were discussing with some of the HQ members before. It's really, really nice to see this all gathered, and it's really nice looking report as well. So fingers crossed for the future. And as Kim mentioned on the end of this, it's just the beginning of the activities around this field. So there will be more. So that's that's one of the things. And of course, the URL to the impact report will be somewhere in the video description. And everyone can explore it, share it, maybe share it also with the colleagues in the company. And the webinar will be on the 22nd of June.
Cool.
Awesome. So that's first thing. Second thing is a new thing to be discussed right now. Maybe more from the development field. Reusable content with global blocks. Yeah, I love it.
I can finally say things publicly about this, because we were shown an early concept of this a good few months ago now, maybe 6 months ago, and I got really excited about it at the time. But it's great. If you click onto the full RFC, Marcin, you can
I have it open here. Yeah, I have it open.
So the idea here is they would like to make the concept of reusable blocks. So having blocks not just be kind of in line within a single page. And when we're talking blocks, we mean block grid or block list. Any single cell block,
element type, speaking technically.
Any element could be stored somewhere in the database and therefore reused. And this RFC goes through a lot of the discussion about how you would translate from a block being, say, inline to a global thing. I don't think they're going to be global by default, or shared by default. That's not the idea. And then also with that would come, say, variant support, because you would need the ability to have, they'd be like a piece of content.
Yeah.
They would live in their own section of the CMS. Proposed that it's called library, but somewhere that just data that's not routable, that's not content, that lives, which I love. I think that makes so much sense. And they've suggested here it could move other things like that into that tree. So content templates, your reusable blocks, tags, but that is out of scope for this RFC. It's not a feature that they're planning to implement just yet, but a perfect place to manage those sorts of things. I think this is great. I love it.
Yeah, I think we've all been there, because this pattern of doing the Umbraco projects is with us for a while. People call it repositories of content, reusable content, pods, blogs, however we will name that. It's been with us for a while. And I remember the huge motivation behind this RFC and also the change regarding the cost on the database level for reusable block saved as a content item. And I'm very, very curious, and I really plan to join the discussion as well, because I would love to see how it can be cut down when it comes to this cost, the size, and the database storage. Because right now we all know that when we save the content item, it creates the record in the database and stuff like that. So it might be interesting to see, because of course it will be a piece of content, reusable content somewhere. But it might be a huge potential for Umbraco to really optimize it. And I have seen this on some CMSs as well. I can't remember now how it was named, but I love the idea. I would definitely use it. And I still use repositories in the content. So it will be a nice shift, a nice improvement for UX.
Indeed. And so they've put a fair amount of thought into how flow would work from within a content item, taking an existing block and turning that into something that's reusable, which is great. And also what happens when you're publishing those. I'd hope eventually that we can see things like scheduled, basically every feature you've got on content, scheduled publishing, all of that sort of stuff on a block, which I think it will happen. I mean, it depends how many axes I want to receive. I avoid that before we go before we go to Code Garden. But there is definitely, let's say this is a multi-staged approach. There's going to have to be some work done initially to move blocks into the database. And I would expect to see that in a release coming within the next year, let's say. And then this is going to be a post new back office thing. So there'll still be some of these, we'll still probably have the APIs for dealing with elements as like content, or maybe there'll be an element service, or maybe they'll just be through the regular content service, but we'll have those APIs a lot sooner than we'll have a UI to manage them and to handle changing from local to reusable, etc. So your question, Marcin, about the weight on the database and stuff, it will exist a long time before people even. I also believe HQ are doing a bit of a review on how that database is structured to make it a little bit more efficient if possible.
So that's really cool. And again, I remember times when we used Trello APIs, and Trello was not even having the functionalities on Trello itself, but the APIs were ready. So it was API first, really API first approach. And here, I don't mind if it will be there for us to even explore, right?
A big blocker here is they don't want to create a feature that requires rewriting for the new back office. So that's a pattern you're going to be seeing over the next 12 is already established, isn't it? But 13 as well. We're not going to see any new UI because all of their UI resources working on the new back office, and they don't want to have to rebuild stuff post V14. So at a minimum, this is V15 and beyond. But I expect you'll get the back end stuff sooner, which will be fairly cool.
But that's at the same time smart and responsible to not redo things multiple times and just await the features to be ready. So that's cool. And as it's RFC, I think that's important to remind us all that it's a discussion. So it's a request for contributions, and a lot of feedback is usually more than awaited and welcome. So please, if anyone has some feelings, thoughts, ideas, just help and share and make it a valuable feature for us all.
Maybe people are already doing something similar. I know there's been previous attempts at making reusable stuff in the grid, where people would use like a multi-node tree picker to go and select content, and you'd use that to go and make like reusable content in the grid. If you're doing something similar, share it. When we discussed this on the CMS team, we talked through a lot of those different scenarios, and I think this sort of leans quite closely to that, and the way people have done things, or that we were aware people have done things. It may well be that that's not the case at all. People are doing stuff in some unknown way that people don't know about, and this maybe goes against it, or there's a nicer way of managing the content. I'd be really keen to see those too. But I like this suggestion as it stands. And also, I think it was overlooked, but potentially the ability to have folders in there.
Some kind of content structure, basically. It's
something I've raised as feedback before, that we don't just want it to create an item in a list somewhere and that be done, and you just have a huge list of reusable stuff. You may want to be able to say, well, this block list editor saves its global blocks in this folder, for example, and then structure them a bit better. But I've not read the RFC. I don't know if that's covered there. If it's not,
it is.
Feedback.
But at the same time, that's clearly stated as well. The tags and something else is not. Tags are not a part of the discussion here. But it would be really nice to have a separate discussion about it.
As soon as that separate library section exists,
yeah,
someone could create a tags someone could very easily create a tags
model representation and stuff like that.
And I don't know if it'd be accepted now, but to be honest, if someone went ahead and created a tags tree and did a PR for it, that's not a massive amount of work actually.
And at the same time, tags can be also reusable content items. And that's all. That's how we use them as well at some point.
We avoided using the Umbraco inbuilt tag editor for that reason. Just from a flexibility point of view, sometimes we want to be able to attach additional data to a tag or have hierarchy on tags. And so we use content nodes for that typically.
We do sort them and stuff like that. So yeah, exactly. Cool. Let's see the discussion. And of course, we will be following it up and sharing anything exciting that will come out of this discussion. So be sure to check it out, people, and participate. Releases starting from Umbraco Forms this week. Umbraco Forms 11.2 and 10.4 release candidates. So I haven't checked, to be fair, the content of this extended RCs yet, and I didn't play with them yet as well, but it seems like it has some kind of new enhancements on the API levels as well, which is not surprising. And IP recording, nice one, customized default fields, form stack helper, and performance optimization. So that's a really nice set of functionalities. Callum, did you use a lot of forms recently in your project?
No, we haven't. We've actually not out of choice either. I'm not opposed to forms, but we've just been dealing with a lot of custom forms on sites. So I haven't.
I'm asking because I also didn't use a lot of them recently, but I have some kind of discussions at the moment on how to really achieve some quick results with workflows and conditional workflows, which are possible from specific version recently. That's where I see this power of features are delivered with forms, because it seems I did some proof of concept and playgrounds recently, and it just works. So that's really nice, and kudos to the whole team and Andy for managing it that well, because it seems like it is delivering a huge value with the newest features, and I don't mind getting back to forms, especially if it will be more API centric to use them. So that would be also better for the whole headless approach to CMS itself too. So yeah, that's the really nice update, and of course it's all covered in the blog post. Other than that, we have a SEO toolkit updates from Patrick released this week.
A lot of community contributions in this one as well, which is lovely to see. Some added context, being able to do more powerful things with sitemaps. It's a good package, or a collection of packages actually, because it's each thing's its own package, isn't it?
And Andy Butland made his first contribution here as well, so that's really nice.
I bet you it's adding the marketplace JSON.
Let's find out.
And he's gone through
that's true.
a lot of different packages, which is awesome.
That's great. That's great.
In the marketplace. So
exactly, and that's perfect. That's really perfect contribution for all of the packages that will be now listed and visible on the marketplace properly. Other package that was updated, released, and announced this week is IIS Express Builder from Porseal, and it's a PowerShell script that helps in setting up the custom domains and bindings, and assign self-signed certificates to IIS. Something that is often used by a lot of DevOps teams and a lot of automated processes. But
this reminds me a lot of the script that Matt Hart created a while ago, which is the IIS builder, wasn't it? Where it would take your site and it would build full fat IIS config, self-signed cert, etc. So similar thing, but this one for IIS Express. We're not typically using custom host names with our site. We're just doing localhost port number and for local dev. I don't know what people in the chat think, but I'm
also curious about it, because we have a domain that is pointing to our internal addresses, and every time when we will use this domain, it will be pointing to localhost as well, so we can assign it as a host name. I don't know if you remember, Anthony did something similar in the past on our setups.
There's some public versions as well. Is it local test.me might actually be a
that's true.
Point to 127001. But yeah, the idea that if you're using if you're using localhost, you don't need a self-signed certificate because there's already one on your machine. But I'm interested to know. I didn't know people were really doing custom host names locally. It only matters where you're doing multi-site, and even then, we typically just use a slash prefix instead.
For locals, but as Owen said, he also just using localhost with port number. But I did it for multiple tests, load balancing test, just to basically also ensure that we are doing this effectively. But I think it's also sometimes like a practice or routine that is across the development teams. And I must admit that recently I switched back to the Windows machine, and I spent almost a full day, or I won't be lying, almost full 2 days setting up the project and then getting everything aligned on the local. So I would definitely be grateful for any scripted approach to this one, because we often see that people got used to setting it up or getting used to using their own local setups because it works on my machine, but it doesn't work on mine.
This is just the kind of thing that you put in the base of your project and you just have everywhere, so you don't really have to think about it anymore. Clone the project, run the script, you're up and running. And where if you've not Dockerized everything, or I guess it's the same concept with Docker, you run a compose that builds your environment and does what it needs to do. Here you've got a PowerShell script that's doing that.
Yeah. But that also shows the power of good README file as well. So that's where I pay a lot of attention recently to really shorten the paths for everyone basically to run projects. So that's really nice script from Paul. And other than that, couple of the smaller updates and
I don't think I did,
versions.
but yeah.
But we also didn't. But we also have a couple of the new ones that were relatively not that far away in time released. Atomic Output Cache Starter Kit SEO packages, all from the team here, and we would need to investigate that probably more because they're
these literally cropped up yesterday. I haven't had a chance to look into them too deeply, but it's good to see people putting their internal projects and libraries out. In addition, this week, a whole bunch of updates to the Dragonfly, which is Heather Floyd's suite of tools, and also to Skybird, Key Value Editor, a load of more, and Umbraco Forms, Deploy, and Workflow all got incremental updates this week as well. So, not too many things of note.
Yeah, we spoke about this HR on, so plenty of them, but at the same time, power of README files. It would be good to know what this package does, right? Without testing or installing it.
Yeah, I believe there's a bit of an effort going on, at least at HQ right now, to make sure that their packages have good READMEs, good detail in them, and also reaching out to some community authors, because it's very easy to get up and running on the marketplace with very little detail and not really realize where that's going to pull through to. So if you just provide a description, that's all that's going to show, and that's not very helpful for people's for people looking to see if they want to use your package. But hey.
Yeah, I recently got some course done about the interactive documentation. Why I stopped the camera? Interactive documentation, and it was literally saying that no documentation is better than bad documentation again. So I would be.
I saw somebody on. There was a conversation. Aaron Sadler mentioned it on Twitter, and it's not released yet. That's why Aaron Sadler's working on a checkout plugin using Stripe checkout and integrating that with Umbraco. Sounds pretty cool. But he was saying that he's been fighting AngularJS this week as a result, and someone chipped in and said, the docs are kind of, feels like sometimes someone started writing them and then got bored and went away and did something else. And Aaron said the best docs are always the source, and I agree in that case. Like, get familiar with the source code and finding things on GitHub rather than necessarily with the documentation. Sometimes docs are very helpful, but as you say, poor documentation really doesn't help, and you might just send you in the wrong direction anyway.
Yeah, and I think this is also important that code might be a self-documenting piece of art, but usually is not. And let's face reality, that's how it is. And you are not going through all of the code to understand how your solution is working. And documentation might not be just a summaries of your methods. It needs to define for what you are using them and how. And I think that I might create some kind of talk about it, because I see also a question about this interactive documentation. I can't remember the name of the tool because it was in the Java landscape, but I'm sure there is something like that in our close to heart technologies. And for example, I remember that there was some APIs that they were functional. The code and the test code for the API was supposed to be checked into the solution. It was built, it was going through the test. So documentation was also testable, things like that. So I will dig it out and share maybe in the future. But that's
Nice.
something what I'm interested in recently. My browser lost connection to my webcam, so I'm still here. I'm not pre-recorded, so yeah, let's go. Let's see if my browser will get out of it. So that's the small releases updates. Code Garden is 10 days from now, as Nikhil stated in the chat. 10 days. Callum, how's your preparation?
So much to do in these next 10 days, work-wise, prep-wise. We've got 3 days worth of umbraCoffee to do. We've got some exciting things that we're hoping to bring for you as well. Yeah, it's going to be a busy 10 days, let's say. But Steffi has written up a nice summary of everything you don't want to miss at Code Garden. This includes all the pre-party and the social activities before the event. They include the
theme is announced.
Oh, it's fine. Okay, so I'm not going to axe.
No axe.
So get your Hawaiian shirts on for the pre-party, and that will be good.
Still, drink pull requests are coming over. Social requests, all of the activities. Yeah, that's really cool summary. So yeah, that's 10 days from now. Very short. A lot of preparations on all sides. I'm sure that Umbraco is also busy in prepping for everything there, and we are always looking forward to catch up and meet new and old friends out there. So for everyone who is going there for the first time, check it out, get familiar with what is upcoming, and also be sure for all of those who are not there for the first time to sign up for UBuddy program to help newcomers to interact or maybe get more involved into the community activities by practitioners who already were there.
I saw this week on Twitter Jonah, who's a first-time speaker. She's not a first-time speaker, very experienced speaker, but a first-time Code Garden attendee, asking if speakers can also sign up to be to have a UBuddy, and of course, absolutely, anyone can sign up. So if you like, even as a good way to network,
exactly.
Sign up to be a UBuddy. The link will be down below, but it's also on the Code Garden website as well.
Yep. So that's from Code Garden perspective.
One thing I was going to do, Code Garden point, people should have received, if you've got a ticket, an invite this week to join the Spot Me app. And there's two good things about the Spot Me app. Firstly, it's the only way you'll get notified when umbraCoffee is about to go live. So make sure you have it. Secondly, there is like I want to call it like a calorie challenge or a steps challenge, maybe. So again, part of Umbraco's whole initiative of getting people active and with the paddle, with the CG runners, with the bike ride, you can track your activity on the Spot Me app. It's a bit of a leaderboard competition. See who's been doing the most steps. So it's a bit of fun. Go join the Spot Me app.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, that's the Code Garden update again. Other things on our agenda: a new season, a new episode of Package Manifest podcast with the new host Lee Kelleher, who joined the team of the Package Manifest. I haven't listened to the episode, but I'm so glad for this summary and episode notes. For whoever is making them, huge kudos. I've scanned through them. I probably know about some of these topics, and some of them are to be refreshed. But it's a really nice set of content there. Callum, have you listened to this episode?
I've also not listened. This one completely passed me by, but it's exciting. I really enjoyed the first season, and having Lee, when the one time that Lee was a guest on the last season was a great episode. I think it was just once, but this time, having Lee permanently is great. And he promised us at the end, I believe, judging from Twitter, a weekly episode, which I don't think is the case. But we will look forward to whenever the next one is. And great to see Lottie on as a guest as well, talking about opinions. I like opinions, so I'm sure I'll like this episode.
And in this case, I tried to check the Lottie's opinionated Umbraco package starter template, but I stopped digging into the code before this episode, so I probably will continue after. But it seems like a really nice one, and definitely for all the people who haven't watched or listened to the previous package manifest series, be sure to check it out if you're interested in building or using or planning to build the packages for Umbraco ecosystem and learn from the practitioners out there too.
Yeah.
And last but not least, the warrants video again. We've mentioned it last time, if I'm correct, but it's never enough to mention the good content. So be sure to check out this. And as APIs will be the central point of consuming actions, controllers, and activities and functionalities of Umbraco, that's probably a good time to get familiar with it and see how it can be used. So that's a good video material from Warren and Umbraco out here. And that's all probably from our list.
A lot going on this week, especially in the run up to Code Garden. It's going to be an epic few weeks, I think.
Exactly. So that will be cool, and people already are preparing their Hawaiian T-shirts and shirts. So that's and as you can see in the comments, I remember Mike's look from UK Fest.
It was 2017 UK Fest, I believe.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, definitely. Yeah. But that was really cool. I still have some pictures with people out there with Hawaiian flowers and stuff.
I remember Niels coming in his full white suit with the glasses and everything. That was
that was cool. So yeah, let's prepare for that, and yeah, it's just 10 days. So for all of those people who are preparing as well, stay strong and see you there. And yeah, that was all for today's episode. I will sort out what's happening with my camera. We are Callum on 891.
Yeah, we were on 892 earlier in the week. I don't know who unsubscribed, but please
we need to find this person.
Yeah, it would be lovely to be on 900 at Code Garden, so I can bully people into the other 100.
I don't know what else we can do to get these people. But yeah, let's try. And if you are not subscribing, or you know someone who might benefit from catching up on Umbraco news every week, like we do, be sure to share it and ask them to subscribe. We need this. Yep, that's all then. So yeah, let's get back to business and speak to you as usually on the next umbraCoffee Friday. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Callum. Rest of the day, everyone.